always good to see you.
Hello, Safaraz. Nice to see you again too.
Thank you very much. We're both at the Apprenticeship Levy Conference in Coventry, not too far from your offices.
Yep.
Obviously, Smart Assessor sponsoring again. Obviously, the Apprenticeship Levy Conference.
Yes.
You're a big supporter of Apprenticeship for England,
Yep.
Apprenticeship Levy Conference, and apprentices generally as
Yes.
well. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How has today been for you so far?
It's been fantastic because it's a great opportunity to meet with our existing customers as well as to go hunting for potential new business. So it's really good to be able to share some of the trailblazer changes that we're making for them.
Yeah, sorry, Fiona.
So it's a bit of deja vu for me to be back here today. So when I left school at 16,
Yes.
I became an apprentice myself with Rolls-Royce Aerospace. And here in this vicinity, none of these buildings existed.
Wow.
It was all aerospace manufacturing for Rolls-Royce. And that was my first job, cut my teeth as an apprentice. And now, of course, it's all technology, techno centre, and the engineering has all disappeared from here.
There's been a tremendous amount of change.
Tremendous.
Yes, and I know, I saw you earlier on, I think you were talking to a prospective client or a client earlier on as well. And
Yes.
we were talking about potentially it's an opportunity to network as well, and it's an opportunity
Yep.
not only to learn, but to network and meet others and learn from each other as well.
Yep.
With sort of with our sector, obviously we're a training provider, you're a technology provider. It's all about sort of keeping on developing yourself, constant learning, lifelong learning, and so forth. Your video was fantastic, as I said to you earlier on today. Fantastic presentation, fantastic video. Just share with us in terms of some of the things that you were covering in the video and
Yep.
your sort of general outlook on change and learning and.
Okay, so there's quite a lot there.
Quite a lot there.
So I think technology is exciting. I think technology is hugely exciting, and I think the trailblazer changes, what I was trying to say in my presentation was trailblazer changes gives us an opportunity to modernise the delivery of apprenticeships, and tech sits at the heart of any modernisation. We are going through the new industrial revolution. It's faster, it's more furious, and it's bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And I really try and encourage people to embrace the technology that is not just around today, but hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
So my clients expect us as a tech company to have the vision to visualise what they need before they need it.
Before they need it, yeah.
So
it's a Henry Ford, yeah.
If I asked them what they'd want, they said a bigger horse. Yeah. And that's the excitement to me, is being able to have that vision to take your clients along on that journey. But of course, you've got to also listen to what they need, because there's a lag between what we can do technically and who can engage with that tech.
Yes.
And then a whole plethora of people that find tech not so easy to engage with.
Yeah.
So we talk about millennials.
Yeah.
So we talk about my 19-year-old daughter. I have 4 children.
Yeah.
One's been an apprentice. 3 are at uni, have been to uni. Everything is around technology. So she lives in London. She wants to get to know what bus to get home. She'll go onto Citymapper. If my daughter, when travelling, wanted to find somewhere to stay in LA, she goes to Airbnb, and it's perfectly comfortable for them.
It's their natural environment, isn't it, for them to just to look that up? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But most of the people in our sector that are going to be delivering synoptic endpoint assessments or supporting employers in delivering teaching, learning and assessment are not going to be millennials, digital natives. So there's a massive gap that we have a role to bridge between what we can do with technology and how we can make that engaging and intuitive for people that aren't necessarily very comfortable with technology.
I mean, you mentioned, you started life as an apprentice. Your son was an apprentice.
Yes.
I believe he was an apprentice in the sports sector,
Fitness.
Fitness sector.
Yes.
And what I was reading a little while back, I think one of the articles, the fact that drove you to get into this sector originally when you moved in.
That's right.
Your background, Fiona, is computer training, the whole technology sector.
Yeah.
Just share that with us in terms of the journey from, I've read it sort of a few times in terms of obviously the computer training, the whole relationship that you had with a car manufacturer, and the whole, you had to restart again.
Yeah.
And just share that with us, please, if you can.
So I'm a tech entrepreneur, almost by accident.
Yeah.
I started my first company when I was 26 years old, and I just had my second son.
Yeah.
And I thought this would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And I started a little tiny training business, IT training business. Now, these are in the days before we had internet, before we had email, and personal computers were just exploding.
So you're doing computer training, Excel, that sort of thing?
Yeah, but always with a different spin. Executive computer training, bespoke courses, and by accident, I built this massive monster of a business, and I was pretty clueless in terms of what I was doing. So I didn't know anybody that had run a business. I didn't know anything about finance.
Yeah.
I knew very little about marketing.
Yeah.
All I knew is that I was great at what I did, and suddenly I was managing 35 people.
Wow.
Clueless.
Yeah.
But it grew and it flourished. Looking back and reflecting now, I niche marketed and went into automotive segmentation. But that business, after 20 years, imploded because our key customer was Rover Group, and we were delivering the whole of their training strategy. We had rooms in all of their premises. And when that went under, I wasn't able to sustain the viability of that business. And
must have been a big shock for you, and again, I've read it a few times, and I've heard you say this before, and you had to really restart, and you were obviously being a parent, a single mother, I think at the time as well. I mean, it must have been very, very tough, and it's a very inspiring.
It was tough. It was tough, but it gives you backbone, doesn't it? And nobody died. And nobody got hurt, and we went under without owing anybody anything. I sold my house to continue, moved to a rented house with 4 young children, and had to make it work. So there was no choice. I had to make this next venture work, and that's when I started a tech company, Silver Lining Solutions, and I funded that company through venture capital investment. So I won the Midlands £1 Million Investment Challenge, and used other people's money this time to grow that business.
Yes, which has grown from strength to strength now. I mean, obviously, Smart Assessor, e-portfolio. You've sort of disrupted the word. They use that word now, but maybe that word wasn't around at the time, but you disrupted the sort of
the
model in terms of what was delivering and so forth. So tell us a little bit in terms of, obviously you came into this sector, the sort of changes that you did, and that journey, if you can.
I came into the sector by accident. So here I am running this tech company, Silver Lining Solutions. It specialises in technology for telco companies, so the likes of Vodafone and Orange, in terms of virtualising their call centres, their contact centres. And then my son, my second son, is a little bit non-predictable. So bit of a shock to the system. Entrepreneurial, yeah. He's actually just started his own business. Entrepreneurial.
Just to put a positive light on that.
And embarked on a journey of an apprenticeship, and he was loving it. So he was doing level 2 fitness, but he was getting really demotivated about all the written work and assignments and remembering to do things. He thought he was going to learn how to be a personal trainer and deliver fitness and well-being to clients. So that's triggered an idea for me to actually research the market and see what tools were available for these apprentices to help them to present a more engaging evidence of their skills and competencies. There were tools available in the market, and there were
Yeah.
some big brands available in the market, including one or two that are owned by international awarding organisations.
Yes.
But I kind of figured that those products were developed by people in the sector, for the sector, and all they'd really done was taken how we do things on paper and moved exactly the same model to technology.
Easier now for somebody to enter the market, possibly, with technology and the way they could probably do it. But maybe when you did it at the time, I'm sure it was a different sort of climate and a different sort of,
Well,
maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure how different it is, but essentially when you enter a market, there's only two things that you need to know. And this is what I've learned from 30 years of being around the block in business. One, you've got to understand what's the pain that you're solving. What is the actual problem that you're solving? We call it pain. What problem are you solving? That's the first one. Because if you ain't solving a problem, no one's going to pay you for it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you look at how painful that problem is and what it's worth. But the first thing is you've got to solve a problem. And then the second thing is you've either got to do it better or cheaper than the people that are already solving that problem. And to do it cheaper is a great model if you can sustain that. So we have many brands where people go cheapest. So Pound Shop is a great example. Sports Direct is probably another. It's a difficult model to sustain for a small business. So the easiest option is to solve that problem better than the way it's being solved at the moment, and that's what we did.
Right, fantastic. Fiona, you're aware of the fact that we're involved with the Asian Apprenticeship Awards. Awards is something that we believe in, and again, you're an award-winning entrepreneur yourself. Would you encourage people to sort of look at, obviously we're an award ceremony ourselves, but would you encourage sort of people to sort of enter awards and look at awards as a way to recognise and sort of motivate people, and just your views on the sort of from in terms of looking at awards as a
So once you've actually figured out the pain and then you've figured out how you're going to solve it better than your competitors, you've got to tell people about it, which is obviously marketing.
Promotion, marketing, whatever.
So you either spend a lot of money doing traditional marketing, advertising, television advertising, etc., that has very little return, or you try and be creative about how you market your solution. And awards are great for two reasons. First and foremost, you get massive amount of free publicity. Often the awarding organisation will have their own PR and will market you, film you, get you on social media. As an award-winning entrepreneur as well, you get the opportunity to speak at events where your target market can hang out. That's great. And the second thing as well with winning awards is it's an opportunity to actually give something back. So you can talk to people and inspire people to not do what you've done, but to believe that they can do what you've done. And that belief in your head, that self-belief is so important in any aspect of life. So my son's a personal trainer. He finished his apprenticeship. He now has his own business. At the beginning of this year, I said, yet again, I'm going to get a bit more fit and active this year. I spend huge amounts of hours working and huge amounts scrunched over a computer or behind a wheel of a car. Even now, 4 years on, it's quite typical for me to be working until 1, 2 in the morning. So my son said to me, Mum, you've said that for the last 3 years and you've done nothing about it. I think you should get some personal training. And I said, well, you're a personal trainer. Yes, give me some. And he said, I'm not training you. But he said, I know a man that can. I know a person that can. Now, when I first started that personal training, I didn't believe that I would be able to lose weight. I didn't believe at my age I would be able to get fitter and active. This year, I've lost 1.5 stone in weight. I've done the Wolf Run. I run 10 miles every week on a Sunday morning. I'm doing the London to Paris cycling next year with the team from work. But unless you can change that mindset, that belief that you can do it, and as the weight started to come off and your posture starts to improve, so that self-belief happens. And we have to do that, particularly in our young women. We have to do that in our next generation of entrepreneurs that don't come from an entrepreneurial family, that perhaps haven't got that the parental support and finance behind them to help them get going. I want to be able to inspire our young women to create not just a job for themselves through self-employment, but wealth and a brand, and have fun while they're doing it. And awards like your award inspires people to talk and tell their story.
Well, thank you so much, Fiona. Just in terms of, you talked about the personal trainer. I'm going to try and refer that to as an accountability partner. There's a whole thing about mentorships and having an accountability partner. Yes, some element of self-motivation needs to be there to a certain extent.
Yes.
But how important, in your view, is having that sort of mentor, the coach, business coaching? Is that something that you offer, or you do, or have you been involved? And are you aware of those sort of programs?
I think it's absolutely vital, whether it's in a fitness world or a business world, to have somebody that you can confide in and that you can talk to, and that will help support you holding yourself to account. So absolutely,
What's in your view, what's the future for the sector itself?
For me, it's really exciting, and there's lots of opportunities. There's a whole different industry now growing up with endpoint assessments that almost has been the privilege of awarding organisations. Now training providers
so barrier to entry isn't there, and you can potentially look at those.
That said, for those organisations, those providers that are entrepreneurial, forward-looking, engaging with employers, they will make the most of this opportunity, but there will be a fallout. There will be a fallout of providers that are burying their head in the sands, that are hoping things will go away, that are hoping we'll get I suppose a bit like the Brexit, that hoping that it didn't happen and things will change. And we will lose those organisations without a shadow of a doubt.
Wow, okay. You touched on personal branding in a way, and talked about marketing yourself and so forth. You're big on social media. You're and you have been for as long as I've known you, in terms of the whole sort of understanding how search engines work, the whole sort of Google, social media, that sort of thing. Just give us your views in terms of social media, particularly with regard to from a personal perspective, but also from a business perspective.
Okay, it's a lot there. Essentially, when you're tiny and starting out in business, you have to look at the market as a cake, and you have to pick which slice of that cake you can get all over, because you can't do it all. So segmenting the market and deciding your niche slice of that market, we decided that we would our business model that we took to market would best suit the larger providers that had complex needs and complex systems that needed integrating. For me, what that meant is that instead of targeting 7,000 providers that are on the register of Roto, we're targeting 705 of those providers. And what brand, personal branding, do I want to get in front of those providers? The personal brand I want to get in front of those providers through social media and events is thought leadership. I want the Smart Assessor brand to be perceived in that sector as thoughtful, knowledgeable, influential, entrepreneurial, and a brand they can trust to take their business forward. So that a brand that they can trust that we know what we're doing, we can visualise where they need to go with their technology, and they can trust that we'll deliver on that need. So for me, social media is not about creating a Fiona Hudson Kelly fan club. It's about getting the right messages to the right slice of that market.
And a mechanism of doing that would that be sort of blogs, and would that be sort of articles? How would we do that?
Yeah, so obviously you need a variety of marketing communication channels. We need to have seen something at least 6 times in various places before we even start to resonate the brand. So at this event, as an example, we will have got the delegate delegate list.
Yeah.
We will have contacted the few people on this delegate list that are our customers that are going to be there. We'll have let them know we're going to be there. We'll have sent them out a voucher to come and enter a prize draw and come and talk to our stand. We'll have a speaking slot. All morning we will have been on Twitter talking about the topics of conversation that were happening. Our business development managers will have been contacting our customers before the event to let them know we're going to be there, and they'll also be following up after. So you've got to pull it all together with the same core message. If you just do one of those channels, then it's a waste of time and money. So if you just spend time sponsoring an event and not doing all of the others,
you got it's a whole ecosystem of things that you've got to sort of bring together.
Yeah. And we now have, of those 705 large contract holders that we're trying to target, we've got 40% of the largest of that segment by this strategy.
Wow. So it does work. It has worked in your particular case. Fiona, just talk a little bit about technology. Obviously, you're a technology guru. You're in the sector and have been for a number of years.
Yeah.
What sort of technology do you use in terms of apps? And just share something with us. I mean, I want to pick your brains in terms of tools and what do you use to sort of.
Okay, so I less worry about the tools as to how we're solving a problem.
Okay.
That's the most important thing to me, is what problem are we solving and how can we do it better than what's already there using tech. I don't mind whether it's Angular, Java, C#, .NET, even a bit of ASP, responsive websites, or all this cool Azure stuff that they're doing now. It's got to solve the problem better than our competitors are doing it. It's got to look good. It's got to be intuitive to use, because they're not all digital natives that are using our product, and it's got to take our client on the next stage of their journey.
Okay.
So I worry less about the tech we use.
Right.
And half the time I don't understand what they're talking about anyway when they're talking about their Angular, Java, responsive, and.
Keep it simple, just what's the problem that
And we also have to make sure as well that with our huge and very experienced tech gurus, that we have to take products to market. So we have to bring products out in iterations, because developers will never finish anything. They're perfectionists. That's the nature of their skill set. So it's better to bring something out sooner that maybe is not quite finished, and work with your clients and your partners to shape it in terms of to make it usable for them, rather than
just adjust accordingly and so forth. On a day-to-day basis, every day sort of tools. From a mobile perspective, obviously mobile has changed the world to a certain extent. I mean, we use the mobile device now more than anything else. What sort of tools and apps do you use on your mobile, and is that something that you've embraced?
Yeah, so we are really a virtual company.
Yeah.
So we have a small base with a few people that come into an office. It's very, very slender. To be able to recruit exceptional talent, we have to spread a wide net for tech developers. They're in high demand, and they can choose where they work and which projects they work on. So our developers are located virtually anywhere from the South Coast to Sheffield and anywhere in between. So we have stand-up calls every day, which is part of our Scrum process. So we use Skype for our stand-up calls.
So this is like a huddle, is it? Or is that
it's a huddle, and it's 30 seconds per person. So you say, what did you achieve yesterday? What are you planning to achieve today? And it's the whole team, so the whole 15 developers come into that huddle, and we use Skype for that. I have 2 children in Australia, 2 children in the UK, so we use WhatsApp a lot, and it's great. You can use WhatsApp on your phone. It just pings when there's a message, put one up there, picture of the dog or whatever, and all the kids get it. We use cloud technology for all of our own systems as well. So we use, our CRM is cloud, our project management tools are cloud.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so very mobile.
Fantastic. Any other apps that come to mind in terms of, obviously we've talked about WhatsApp and some messaging. Any sort of apps which are useful
So my favourite app, because I'm trying to get fitter and more active this year, and getting there and achieving it, having dropped the 1.5 stone and being a lot more active now. I have an activity app on my watch, and it pings my watch if I haven't stood for an hour.
Stood for an
Yeah,
hour. Okay,
so-
I've heard of walking, but this is just
No.
just standing.
Yeah, and you have to stand for a minute
Yeah.
before it will go off
Wow.
and sit down. And also it then logs your activity as well, so you can set activity goals for the day and it will tell you how active you've been, which is quite cool.
Fantastic, fantastic. Always good to speak with you. Thank you for sharing that with us, and
You're
thank you for
welcome.
sharing your story with us. And again, keep supporting apprenticeships like you have.
Certainly
Much
will.
appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.